What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach KG, and I'm in the house. And today we're going to be talking to you about how to fix your relationship with food and finally see results. So I feel like a lot of people know what to do, but they just don't end up doing it, especially when it comes to nutrition, right? A lot of people end up overeating, making bad decisions, and we have the right mindset in place. We're like, okay, we're going to make better decisions. A lot of people have the right intentions, but they don't end up doing it. So I would say probably about 90% of the population realize that a calorie deficit is what's going to cause you to see change. If you eat a little bit less, you'll start to see change. Now, I do believe there's still probably about 10% of people that feel like the hormones are an issue or metabolism or they have something wrong or some sort of magic tea is going to help them out. I'm not able to exactly help them in this exact episode, but the main thing is if you are someone who feels like you can make better decisions, you want to start to see real change and food is a bit of an issue, maybe it could be an unhealthy relationship with food, this is going to help you a ton. Now, the first thing is most important. You have to spend time thinking about where you actually struggle, right? In order to be able to see change and realize, hey, I want to fix my relationship with food, we have to be able to first admit, hey, I've got a bit of a problem. I tend to overeat. I give in during these tougher situations. And so I really encourage you. I truly believe every single person can find different parts where they can improve, myself included, where I may give in to different temptations. I may say yes to dessert a little bit too much, causing me to go overboard. I do believe we all have something that is holding us back a little bit from seeing some incredible changes. So when it comes down to food and your relationship with food, you have to ask yourself, when am I struggling? Are there times during the day where I just feel like I'm always thinking about food, right? Is it before bed where I'm just checking the cupboards consistently? Is it afternoon when it's between lunch and dinner and I'm always super ravenous, so I want to grab some donuts that someone brought in at work? Like, actually being aware of what's going on and what you're thinking is going to allow you to make these changes necessary and be able to implement all these amazing tips that we're going to talk about. So spend time with yourself, think about it, journal it. I promise you, this isn't the most fun step because it forces you to admit we have some things we can improve on, but it allows us to make the changes necessary going forward.
Yeah, I heard a quote once and it's like, I don't know really when I've ever blown my diet in the morning. It's always at night. So for most people, that nighttime will be that junk time and that'll be the one you need to identify and isolate. And if that isn't your case, you're definitely unique. But I would say most people listening to this will resonate that nighttime is hard. And we're going to get more into some additional tips for that later. But when you can isolate, like this is what's throwing me off and messing me up, that's how you can start to make solutions. But my next tip is going to be to add before you subtract. And this was Kyle's tip and he explained it to me and I'm going to elaborate on it. And what I love about this episode was it took Kyle 6 hours to plan these tips. So it was almost like an hour per episode. Not quite actually, but he planned this on a 6-hour walk. And I just love all of his notes here. And I truly believe if you listen to this and implement these tips, you're going to change your entire relationship with food. And this is such a phenomenal tip because when we think of being healthier and having a better relationship with food, we just think, I'm never going to eat sugar, no juice, no drinking, no junk food, no grease. Like naturally, we just start taking everything away. But often this is the wrong mindset. Instead, if you can say, like, how can I actually eat better food throughout the day? How can I drink more water so I'm more full and not dehydrated and have crazier cravings? How can I actually eat more lean protein so I'm more full and more satiated throughout the day and have more energy? How can I eat more vegetables so I can have more food volume? If you eat a ton of lean protein, a lot of lean vegetables, fibrous foods, and have a ton of water, even in a deficit, you'll actually notice that you're pretty satisfied when hitting your calories. When you eat really good quality food, it's actually very hard to eat like over 3,000 calories because the food volume is crazy, the volume in your stomach is crazy. And because of this, when you start adding more protein to each of your meals, you start adding more snacks that are really protein or veggie focused, you add more good quality, lean, healthy foods, like you're going to notice big differences in your day. And you're also going to notice that 80-20 becomes that much more realistic. And when you do have that 20% fun foods, you're going to find, like, if you've had a really massive healthy dinner, you'll be happy having a tiny little bite of dessert, enjoying that sweet taste and not needing to eat like 6 slices of cake because you're so hungry because your dinner quality has been so low.
Yeah, next up, tip number 3 is just using food as fuel. So something I've really tried to practice over the last many years, especially as I've wanted to repair my relationship with food. And, I've shared stories where I used to be really guilty if I had a snack. And, I've had a weird relationship like growing up with it just because I had all these different thoughts. But what I've really tried to do is just be aware of all the great benefits that most of the foods that I'm going to have in my day are going to provide for me. So, using my breakfast as an example, I'm using it as fuel for my workout that's going to be taking place in the next few hours. I'm realizing that the protein, 40-ish grams, is going to help me build muscle. It's going to help me be full. There's so many amazing antioxidants within the fruits that I'm having. This morning I actually had a kiwi in my Greek yogurt, so that's going to be a nice little, in my opinion, kind of superfood. You could say like there's just so many great benefits. So I look at my breakfast as just a whole hearty, great thing that's going to be amazing for my brain health, for my clarity, for my muscle mass, for my fat loss, for my workout. Like I'm looking at all the amazing benefits. So I'd say a lot of people, they're not actually aware. So sometimes it's hard to make the right decisions. It's hard to be ultra clear on some of the stuff that you're having. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of macros. I'm always looking to make sure my food that I'm having are going to be a good source of protein, and making sure that it's a moderate amount of fat and carbs depending on my goals. And like I do believe that has its place 100% to help you reach your goals. When you can start to look at these foods, and even like a little fun fact is actually just learn more about them. Like if you were to search on Google or ChatGPT, a banana, like what are all the benefits of it, and you start to be aware of it, it makes it more enjoyable because you're like, wow, this is a great source of potassium, and these carbs are going to be fantastic to have fuel for my workout. And when you start to think about it that way, I really feel like you can appreciate these foods more. It makes it easier to want to make better decisions. It makes it easier to look forward to something knowing that they're so great for you. And I think a lot of people don't think about this. So that's one of my biggest tips.
Yeah, there's a quote that says, I don't eat for taste, I eat for function. And obviously, this is extreme. Food is tasty, it's social, it's amazing. But it is relieving when you actually say, I want to eat good food so I feel better. Like when you have that delayed gratification sort of mindset. Like, whereas if we just say, I'm going to eat whatever I want right now, your stomach aches, you feel lethargic, you feel sick, all the next day, you don't feel good. So you can adjust that and say, like, what food's going to build me up? What food is going to make my stomach feel the best? Give me the least indigestion, give me the most energy and focus in the gym, the best physique. Like the stacks really, the results really stack when you look at it that way. And I think that's such a good mental shift, if you will. And going back to what I said earlier, I think where a lot of people go wrong with their food relationship is food becomes a dopamine hit, it becomes a solution, it becomes a comfort. And food can absolutely be comforting. There's nothing wrong with a family dinner, being at the table with all your family, breaking bread. It's an awesome, awesome thing. Where people go wrong is they'll say, I'm sad, I'm just going to eat some junk food. I deserve a pizza, I deserve this DoorDash, I deserve a dessert. People are going to say, I'm in pain, I'm going to go to food. And you start misusing food and uses this patch. And especially when there's things like DoorDash and Uber Eats and just junk food and your everything's stacked up. Like everything's against you in this sense, and you can create really bad habits where when you're sad or you have a tough week, like you need a glass of wine and a whole bowl of ice cream, and that can really stack up. And instead, if you can analyze, I've used this example before, like we had a bad day of volleyball, the game sucked, it just didn't go well, and I wasn't feeling great, and I just thought I want to pick something up and just eat my feelings. And I never really feel that way, and I thought, oh, I just feel sad. I went home, I went for a walk, I felt better. That walk was good, right? It let me clear my head, it let me think about it a bit and realize, okay, it's not that serious. Like I'm just a little gloomy. Tomorrow I'll wake up and feel amazing. It was a more positive solution. So you can do other things too, like social connections. Like if you're feeling sad, call a friend who's going to make you feel better. Do something that relaxes you, like whatever it may be, tidy a bit. I don't know. Everyone's entirely different. But if you can start to unbreak some of those negative habits where even you're bored at night, you're in that junk time, you're just bored, instead of needing to just eat garbage with every show you watch, instead say, I'm really going to appreciate this show. I'm relaxing. I'm watching this show. I'm not doing work. No one's demanding my attention. Like appreciate that comfort and don't feel like you need to max it all the time or max the amount of food you're eating, because that's usually where you get in bad circles where like food becomes like a reward. We've used the example, like I give treats to my dog, it's a reward. For you, food is fuel, and it also can be tasty, it can be exciting, it can be a treat, but you can log that in, make that work, and do it within balance instead of using it like for a cheap band-aid that isn't going to provide long-term solutions.
Yeah, next up, to me, it's really important to eat foods that you love, but also, of course, are good for you. So there's so many different variations of this, but As much as I can get someone results just having broccoli, chicken, and rice 3 to 4 times a day, it's not sustainable in my personal opinion. I find most people end up struggling because they realize they can't have a social life, they can't really do anything. Like they end up having that unhealthy relationship when it comes down to just feeling like you have no other choices, you can't do anything. And that's where obviously we talk a lot about flexible dieting, the 80/20 principle. But I really think there's so many great options out there in terms of just like new recipes. Even if you want as a free add-on, second link down below, you'll be able to get, we have 53 high protein recipes. That's just going to be a gift to you, but there's a lot of cool things. There's a lot of amazing smoothies. Like even in that guide that we've put together, you can see the exact macros, how long it takes, and our clients have been absolutely loving that. But what's really cool is there's so many different options out there. And even on that note, there's like some more fun variations of it. And I know Josh has quite a few different things that he's shared in the past where, you try a healthy Crunchwrap Supreme option, make it at home, or you do like healthy pizzas. Like there's a lot of cool ways to have some of your favorite foods without going completely overboard. And I feel like when you have these fun salads you're looking forward to, and just like you have some excitement of different things that you want to try, you want to incorporate different recipes, like it makes it more enjoyable. It kind of makes it more of an experience. Obviously, lots of great macro hacks. Like it is nice when you can actually be able to incorporate this stuff instead of just feeling like, oh, for the next 12 to 16 weeks, I'm just having nothing I can ever enjoy and I'm only having Tupperware container foods. Like that's, in my personal opinion, not the greatest, although you will see some amazing results. We're all about longevity, sustainability, and just being able to actually have a life. And even for our clients, like that's why we've been able to help over 5,000 people who actually want to have a social life, who want to go to a wedding, who want to, go to eat with their kids. And if you are someone as well who is struggling, make sure first link down below, just fill out an application. We'll take care of you for guaranteed results. But yeah, that's going to be tip number 5 for today.
Next up is predictable structure. This one's big for me. If you love food and you're always thinking about food and you're craving food and you don't know when you're eating, that's when you can freak out. Like I'm sure you've had that experience where you're just like so hungry, you just want to eat anything, you're just dying. I don't like that feeling. So for me, I try to be really methodical with my planning, and I'll know like I'll have my fixed breakfast pretty much at the same time every day. High protein, high fiber, lots of water, and I know it's going to sate me to a bigger lunch. I feel more comfortable with a bigger lunch. I don't mind a smaller dinner and a smaller protein snack, and that's where I land the best. I know some people like having 6 small meals and they like to snack all day, and that's truly where they just operate the best. There isn't necessarily one best way to do it, but the best thing you can do is build a structure that works for you and your specific schedule. Like I said, everyone is so different. Some families eat dinner at like 10 p.m. and that's what they do. And maybe you don't eat like your first meal till like the middle of the day, but you need to play around with different things and find a rhythm. And when you feel nourished and you're not starving, it's a lot easier to stick to plan and make smart decisions. And that's where I also like pre-logging, because you can tentatively have a map for that day. If I know I'm having a healthy breakfast and lunch and maybe I'm going to a cool restaurant, I don't know what it is, maybe I'll have a really high protein snack, and that'll leave me a lot of room and flexibility to pretty much eat anything I want at dinner. And like even that is a comfort and stops me from freaking out. Whereas if you don't really plan things right, you're at a restaurant, you only have 200 calories and you're like, okay, there's already a wash, and you do something extreme and really blow out your diet, like that isn't going to be a great relationship with food either.
Yeah, and on that note, obviously the all or nothing mentality, this is to me one of the most important ones. This is where a lot of people struggle because on one end, if there's someone who's like, "Hey, I'm only going to eat like super healthy and that's it," and they end up like never being able to have like a cookie, a lot of times they end up going completely overboard. Like the second you get your hands on a piece of chocolate for a birthday, you may end up just blowing things out of proportion, right? And even just to me, the ability to be able to have something and keep moving forward is very powerful because I know it's realistic. I know there'll be a daughter's birthday. I know there'll be grandma's, amazing pie. And to be able to like find a way to make that fit obviously goes back to flexible dieting, which is keeping track of your calories, giving yourself a certain allowance of flexibility if you want it. Some days it's 100%. It's 100% healthy. There's not 1 ounce of little bit of sugar or anything in there that's causing me to deviate. Maybe on this past Sunday, I was 80%, amazing, great stuff, and then 20% more fun stuff. Like to me, this is very freeing, right? So where it gets tough is sometimes people do look at keeping track of calories and all that stuff as a bit of a hindrance. And, some people will feel like it'll actually mess them up a bit. And that's something you have to kind of evaluate is your relationship with the food tracking apps and whatnot. But I do believe to be able to see great success, you have to see the numbers and you have to make the right choices that are within that to be able to start to see change as well. But yeah, just on that note of all or nothing, like if you happen to have a piece of cake and you fit it in, or if you even do make a mistake, right? If there's a day where you're like, oh, I've had too much, like not just having that mindset where it's just like, oh man, I've just blown it all. I'm going to go, have even more and I'm going to turn it into a week long binge or like a weekend, just session of eating tons of food, right? Like not having that all or nothing mindset is one of the biggest things because so many people end up just pushing themselves backwards into a bigger hole. They end up over consuming way more calories because they had one little piece of cake, which you should be able to fit into your calories as well for most people, unless you're in like a crazy, crazy deep deficit. So yeah, this is one of the biggest things that I find so many people struggle with. Instead of saying, hey, I blew it or I messed up, ask yourself, what's one thing I can do next to get back on track or to keep making better decisions? So thank you so much for spending time with us today. We appreciate it. As I said, first link down below if you want guaranteed support, if you want help fixing anything in your nutritional journey, have custom workouts, get guaranteed results, make sure to fill that below. And then the second link is going to be 53 high protein recipes that I promise you're going to love that we share with our clients as well. So thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.